Thank you. Ooh. I think people are going to be able to hear me. I have a pretty soft voice. Thank you, Choyo and Koshin, for the generosity of this center and for this use of this space. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and a special thanks for Richard, who worked so hard for this to come together. I'm very grateful. And when I look around, I'm so touched to see people here from my different communities and my family, my biological family, my extended love choice family. Wow. Oh, yes, and thank you, Mary and Daisy, too. They helped. How did this happen? How did I get here today? I thought you might be interested in some of the background. I've always loved poetry. I've loved to read it and to write it, and it's always served me. In 2012, my dad, who I had been caregiver for, passed away. And all of a sudden, I didn't have a job anymore. I'd been a caregiver for a while. The last years until he passed with him, and before that with my mom. And the idea for putting together a poetry book was born. Fortunately, I met a very wonderful woman, Joan Mellon, who's sitting there, raise your hand, who was my guide and my mentor and my writing coach and sometimes my guardian angel in this journey. And through Joan, I met, or at least by Skype, I met Lisa Rasmussen, who is a book designer, and she's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we had to do things digitally. I had to hype up my technological skills in putting this book together, and I had a vision of what I wanted it to be, and we all worked together, blood, sweat, and tears, and it's actually happened. It's the end result. Quite wonderful. And back to the story of Dad. Dad was my best supporter. He always encouraged me to do my best. He always challenged me, and he challenged himself. He was a very engaged with life kind of person up until the very end. He lived to be 96 and a half years old, and really enjoyed life. You'll get to see, wow, you'll get to see pictures, if you like, they're on the table out there. And in the spirit of Dad, who wanted me to get out there into the world and do my best, I put together some of my poems. I had a pile this high, and you'll see that the book is this skinny. The poems that I chose are poems that have to do with my family, especially the family who are no longer on the planet. My mother, my father, my brother, my Uncle Mark, my cousin Susie, who was like a sister to me within the last 8 years, all of them departed. And I was inspired to write some of these poems because of them. And write the poem is not accurate, really, because the truth is poems write me. I'm a vessel for a sometimes active and sometimes lazy muse that comes through me. Sometimes very annoying, because the muse will show up between 3 and 5 in the morning and I would just as soon sleep. But if I do that, there goes the poem. So I need to be awake, which is one of the things we practice here, actually. And in the writing, and to me, it's such a mysterious process, and I love it. I love that part of it. I could start out with an inspiration and an idea, and then it goes who knows where. It's quite something. And what my poetry and what my reading of poetry has helped me to do is really hold some of life's complexities, especially the difficult times, in ways that have made me want to keep on keeping on. Especially the difficult ones in the face of loss. And it's always been fun for me just to write. And then I realized there's another part, which is when I think a poem, for me, a poem needs to be spoken, to become a living, engaging thing. So that reading my poetry had been fun. I like that it might touch people. And I thought about the book as a way of perhaps touching a bigger world. And I'll see what happens with that. It's a new venture. And it's a beginning, because I plan to write again. The next collection will be poetry and prose, and we'll maybe say more about that in a bit. Let's see if I said everything I wanted to say. Probably not. Oh yes, this is important. Oh, this is... This poem, yes. My life is a poem today. This book, this poetry book, is dedicated to my dad. Some of you here have actually had the good fortune to know him physically when he was on the planet. And others can enjoy the pictures. And oh, there's this wonderful picture in the book of Dad when he was about 20 years old, standing by an old car. I love that picture. And the book is basically dedicated to his memory and to these other family members who've departed. And the title, That We May Live On, is that they do live on every time I read a poem that has to do with one of them, or thinking of this book that's dedicated to Dad. It's a part of a living memorial to him, to them. And to other family members who aren't mentioned in the book, who are part of this fabric. It's like, when I look at these hands, these are my father's hands. I didn't always like these spots before he passed, but now, because they're like his, I do. And these are my mother's. The legacy in my body and in my book. And because we're celebrating this book, we have a very special treat, musical treat from my extended family. They're going to share music. Some of you heard the beautiful voice of Heidi Siegel, who's in the back there, when you came in, and she was on the tape, but she's going to be live here. And Osi is going to present a song for us. Do you think you're ready to do that now, Osi?
Whenever you want, I'm ready.
Yeah, okay. And her full name, we call her Osi, her full name is Oceane Monique Siegel Gorey. Wow. So, Miss Osi, if you would come up, she's going to play a song called what?
I'll be your mirror.
I'll Be Your Mirror, a Lou Reed song. Osi sang this beautiful song at Michael and Kumba's wedding 3 weeks ago.
I'm going to sing, but right now I'm going to say thank you to Sheila for helping me through scary times. And I think I read her poem book and I think it's really great, and I'm tearing up listening to her talk about her family and extended family, so I'm going to play this song, and she means a lot in my life, so I like doing a lot for her. So. I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are. In case you don't know, I'll be the wind, the rain, and the sunshine, the light on your door to show that you're home. When you think the night has seen your mind, and inside you're twisted and unkind, let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put out your hand, 'cause I see you. And I find it hard to believe you don't know the beauty you are. But if you don't, let me be your eyes ahead to your darkness, so you won't be afraid when you think the night has seen your mind, and inside you're twisted and unkind. Let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put out your hand, 'cause I see you. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your
Wow. And now we're very fortunate to have Heidi Siegel, Ozzy's mom, and Heidi is this wonderful musician, singer, composer. You heard her voice earlier, and she is going to be singing a wonderful E. E. Cummings, I Thank You God for Most This Amazing Day, based on, and the arrangement is it's something that she's composed. Is that correct? Yes, thank you.
If I talk about how much Sheila means to me, I'll start to cry. I already started to cry when Osi was talking. Thank you very much. So this song, when Sheila asked me to sing something, this came to me. I wrote this melody over 20 years ago, and I didn't have kind of a harmony to it, so I quickly put together something. Eventually it'll be orchestrated, and Rolando helped me with that a little bit, and hope you like it. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leafy, greenly spirits of trees, and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of light and of love and dreams and of gay great happenings, illimitably How can tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing any lifted from the knowable nothing, human merely being doubt, unimaginable you. Now the ears of my ears are awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are open.
This is like better than the best birthday with so many wonderful people here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start out by sharing two of the haiku poems that came to me when my mom passed in 2008. Five of them actually came through, but these are the two that I'm going to share, and I'm going to sign them as well as say them. My second and favorite language is sign language. So, for the first one, death spoke softly, brushing her cheek with a white feather. Mother said, yes. second one. A bright quarter moon rises over the palm trees. My mother's smile lives. The second poem is a poem that came to me when I was flying back from San Francisco after my brother Ira I had just met his new son, baby son. And this is called Elastic Time. How did time become elastic and you become my older brother when I arrived first? Then you were a blue-eyed stranger, kicking and screaming your way into our brown-eyed group of three. Long ago, you came to me for Band-Aids, to shield your wounds from playground frays. Later on, I went to you, pierced by parental barbs. Your words filled the cuts with analgesic balm. Beginning life frail and thin, you insisted on endless rematches when I won games. At what point did you start winning, without cheating, at Indian wrestling? I used to take you to the corner deli every Friday for a lunchtime treat. You chose the same darn thing every week. A hot dog with coleslaw and ketchup. I never approved, but I paid. Last time I dined with you, it was steak tartare you ordered at the best restaurant in town. I don't eat meat, raw or cooked. The bill went on your credit card. Charge it to the business, you said. Nowadays, you call me sis. It's not my given name. Your voice and choice of words echo father's, making the hairs on my neck stand at attention. It's time you settled down and had a family, you say, holding your infant son over your head like a banner. How did time become elastic and you become my older brother when I arrived first? This next poem is called Mark Passes. Wait till that passes. The fabric of our family is rent. Around the hole, frayed threads hang limp. The gap is unnoticed by the sun and the moon. In the heavens, the stars are aware. The brother between the two sisters is gone. The constellation shines, but not as bright. Clinging to one another, the sisters reach across the broken edges of the cloth, holding the children, theirs and his, weaving with patient, tender care and wonder a space that cannot be filled. These are Susie's haikus. Death flirted with Susie for 7 years. Life rose up and said, "Not yet." Susie's bright light shines, illuminating stumbling footsteps in the dark. Thank you, Susie. now we have a variation, a poem about the cats. Also, very, very important family members. And this is a poem from the 1980s. The price quotes in it and some of the other pieces will reflect that it was an earlier time. Encouraged to express themselves, they do, much to my discomfort. The psychology of the day advised it. I now reap the rewards. Thank you, Dr. Spock of the feline set. The Kitty Cat Bill of Rights states, unequivocally, the demands of a cat must be met immediately, if not sooner. First, there's feeding, to be done once a day, continuously. Preferably shrimp at $8 per pound. As for affection, that's on command. Theirs, not mine. Kitty litter to be changed daily and used if convenient. Outdoor outings are by advance plan. They pounce if ever the back door is opened. Return home is by invitation only, usually the sound of the refrigerator door or a can opener, turning to announce the next meal. Sleep is scheduled for the daytime hours. Nighttime is for play, generally active and noisy throughout the house. The scratching post is used infrequently by one who's in a rage. On those rare occasions when he loses an argument with me. The other, of course, uses either the furniture or the walls. Annual visits to the vet call for a heavy dose of tranquilizers. For me, not them. Crying the second they're lured into cages, I'm greeted by disapproving stares as passers-by accuse me of causing those piteous sounds. Once done with, the cost is great. At $50 a shot, who can afford it? And for a bonus, a major guilt attack for letting them get so fat. A diet is prescribed. Easier said than not fed. Even the low-cal string beans they adore add up when gobbled by the pound. My chances of being in charge are as good as a toss of a coin. Heads, they win. Tails, I lose. I've got them pegged, but they've got me trained. And now we're in the second section of the book that's about different relationships. And the first one is a mindfulness poem. And I was inspired to work with this when I was coming from an American Poets Association meeting at Skirball Center, and I saw a sign that said, "Watch your step." And that's an important thing for me. Having fallen 3 times and broken a number of bones, it's a good warning. Watch your step, the sign says, and I do. Carefully notice how my foot touches the floor, fully focused on each footfall, heel followed by toe, making clear contact, lifting and placing each foot with loving care, slowly walking through a packed room. Soft eyes follow my footsteps. I see only my feet. The crowd parts before me like the Red Sea, allowing free passage. I feel ready, poised to pour my all into the next step. Step up to the plate. Take on the challenges to be met. Anything is possible. There are no limits as long as I watch my step. I used to live on Horatio Street until the year 2002 when I lost my apartment to a fire. And one of the things I loved about that apartment was that I had this wonderful backyard and I had tree stumps that I could go and sit and have my breakfast on. And this is an ode to a tree stump. The tree stump stands ready for me, shaped to accept me seated on its concave space. Our curves fit together as if we are meant to be joined at the hip. Each morning, we meet, reconnect to start the day. I bring my cup of tea, sip and look out at my kingdom, noticing each new shoot, blossom, fullness since the day before. My garden grows with and without me, and I survey it, greening with dashes of yellow and purple, dots of red and blue, flowers I'd forgotten to name, each one reaching up, announcing its glory to the sun, dancing with delight between shadows. Monarch butterflies land on bushes. Hummingbirds come feeding on sweetness. And I stay solidly seated, well-nourished, sated even by all that is offered. This poem is called Patience. Yeah. I seldom partner with patience, although I do seek her out. By the time I reach the dance floor, I'm engaged in an intense tango with her sister, Impatience. I'm off and running, wanting to get there before someone else beats me to it, only to find out that there's no there to get to. Simply my cross of impatience to bear. So many instances of patience, prettily personified in others. Just yesterday in Gristides, the young man in line behind me, who waits through my slow perusal of all my items, only to find out I have too many to carry. What to do? Give back or have them sent, rather than snap as I would have wanted to in his place. He offers to help me home. I tell him his mama would be proud of him. He tells me he has 3 mamas, his mom, his stepmom, and his mother-in-law. All at the ready to stand tall for him. 2 young sisters behind him pick up the ball and carry it and me, saying they live right across from me and would happily do it, taking me on and over with my baggage. Patience watered with compassion blossoms into acts of kindness and even caring community. This is the last poem from this book. It's called Families. Some families swallow bullshit with their morning cereal, believe that more can make them happy, that material things are more important than people. Not mine. We appreciate the simple pleasures of life. Being able to step off the side of the bed in the morning and walk to the bathroom on our own 2 feet. Being able to wipe our own asses. Being able to sit down at table and rise up again without help. Have a good meal with friends. Being able to chew it with our own teeth. Seeing faces on the street clearly, even if we have to wear glasses. Showing every wrinkle and crevice on our faces, knowing we earn them. with deep smiles and frowns, listening with happy and sad tears to the joys and sorrows of those we love, being able to remember those we love, including everyone, old and young, straight and gay, white, yellow, black and red, no matter what language they speak or where they come from or what kind of food they eat. Our family is thankful for the connection to the one family, including us all. Thank you. And I have what I call an appetizer, which is a poem that I plan to include in the next collection, and that will be the last one that I'll read before we have a chance to hang out. And I'll tell you something before I read this about the refreshments. The food is based on recipes that my mom and I used to make when we had parties, foods that we would make. They were made by a woman I gave the recipes to, so I'll see how close they come to Mama's recipes. And also you'll have a chance to, if you want to be taking the book home with you, Joan Mellon, my guardian angel and main person, will be at the book table. Okay, this poem is called Invitation to Inhabit Your Body Fully. Welcome home. You are invited to come home. Inhabit your body fully. Bring all the broken pieces ready to reassemble, like a tinker toy, or parts from your old erector set. It doesn't matter where they're from, or how frightened you are to see them all strewn on floors, tumbled down from shelves, dusty from disuse, long ago tossed aside. There's no sell-by date. Twisted and rusted, salvation is possible. These parts were made to last. Rebuilding bit by bit, parts become whole. Reclaim ugly, dark, misshaped shards. They fit too. Reveal your story. Let go of shame. Bring it to the light. Make it one. Make it wholly yours. Thank you.